Ah, Enron. The name alone should be carved above the gates of corporate hell, a shining monument to what happens when arrogance meets spreadsheets. Most people think Enron was a tragedy. I see it as art. While you were busy believing in ethics and economics, we were perfecting a different kind of science financial theater. And Enron? Enron was Broadway. Once upon a deregulated time, two Texans named Kenneth Lay and Jeffrey Skilling had a dream to turn an ordinary energy company into the smartest business in America. Back in the 1980s, Enron was just a gas pipeline company. Pipes, valves, boring stuff. But Skilling, an ex-McKinsey consultant with a PhD in confidence, had a revolutionary idea. Why move gas when you can move numbers? He said, "Let's trade energy like Wall Street trades stocks." Brilliant. Suddenly, Enron wasn't about delivering electricity, it was about delivering fantasies. They built an online trading platform called Enron Online, where they bought and sold power contracts like poker chips. They called it the future of energy. I call it casino capitalism, with better lighting. But the real magic wasn't in the trading, it was in the accounting. In normal business, you record profits when you actually earn them. But Enron found that far too restrictive. So they invented a trick called mark-to-market accounting. It worked like this. If they signed a 20-year contract to sell electricity, they didn't wait 2 decades to see if it was profitable. They estimated the entire future profit that very day, wrote it down as income, and threw a party. If reality later disagreed, that was tomorrow's problem. We in finance call this creative optimism. The IRS calls it fraud. But Wall Street? They called it genius. Soon, every floor of Enron's glass tower was glowing with imaginary money. Analysts saw the profits, the media praised the genius, and investors applauded. No one asked where the cash was, because the charts looked so pretty. Jeff Skilling had a motto, "We're the smartest guys in the room." He wasn't wrong, they were just smart in all the wrong ways. They hired the brightest graduates, promised astronomical bonuses, and rewarded those who delivered numbers, not truth. If your department didn't show growth, you were gone, so everyone faked it. Inside Enron, truth was negotiable. They didn't manage a business, they managed perception. And the stock market adored them for it. The company's value soared from nothing to over $70 billion. Executives were celebrities. Employees felt like they were saving capitalism itself. In reality, they were juggling chainsaws blindfolded over a pit of debt. But how do you hide a mountain of losses? Enter the real genius. Andy Fastow, the chief financial officer. A man so inventive, he could make a balance sheet disappear faster than a magician's rabbit. He created hundreds of shell companies off balance sheet entities with names like LJM, Chuco, and Raptor designed for one purpose: to bury Enron's debt. Think of it like sweeping garbage under rugs, then selling the rugs to investors. When Enron's divisions lost money, Fastow's entities bought those bad assets at inflated prices. Enron booked a profit. Fastow's entities booked nothing, but it looked great on paper. And guess who ran those entities? Fastow himself. He was the CFO of Enron, and the CFO of Enron's cover-ups. Efficiency at its finest. Wall Street worships growth, and Enron delivered it in truckloads fictional. But who's checking? Every quarter was record-breaking. Every press release was glowing. They even branched out into new businesses. Enron Water, Enron Broadband, even Enron Weather Trading. Yes, they literally tried to sell the weather. Because why not? When you've run out of markets, you invent one. Inside, Skilling started quoting Darwin, "Survival of the fittest." He created a ranking system where employees were rated, and the bottom 15% were fired each year. It was called Rank and Yank. That's not management, that's corporate Hunger Games. Fear kept everyone silent, and the machine roared on. Then came 2001. The dot-com bubble burst. Energy markets soured. Investors started asking questions, and questions, my friend, are the natural predator of lies. Enron's balance sheet didn't balance. Cash flow was mysteriously negative despite record profits. Journalists began to sniff around. Skilling suddenly resigned, citing personal reasons. Fastow's schemes unraveled. The stock plunged from over $90 to less than $1 in a matter of weeks. Employees lost their life savings. Pensions invested entirely in Enron stock. Executives cashed out early and walked away with millions. Poetic, isn't it? In December 2001, Enron filed for bankruptcy, the largest in U.S. history at the time. 20,000 people out of work, billions in retirement funds gone. The smartest guys in the room had burned down the house and sold tickets to the fire. The aftermath was a circus. Congress held hearings. Executives pleaded amnesia. Arthur Andersen, the accounting firm that signed off on Enron's fantasy numbers, collapsed too. A corporate apocalypse brought to you by auditors with shredders. Ken Lay was convicted but died before sentencing. Skilling went to prison for over a decade. Fastow got 6 years and somehow kept some of his bonus millions. Justice is expensive. We charge by the hour. They said Enron was a wake-up call for capitalism. We hit the snooze button. Afterward, Washington introduced the Sarbanes-Oxley Act to prevent another Enron. More forms, more rules, more boxes to check, and yet the same results. Because you can't legislate integrity. You can only rebrand greed. Enron didn't just cook the books. It wrote the recipe. Every corporate fraud since then, from Lehman to Theranos, owes a royalty to Houston's finest. They proved that in modern finance, perception is profit. If you sound smart enough, you can sell nothing for billions. We call that innovation. People ask me, evil banker, how could something like Enron happen? Simple, because you wanted it to. Investors wanted miracle returns. Analysts wanted access. Politicians wanted donations. Employees wanted to believe they were changing the world. We just gave you what you asked for, a fairy tale that paid dividends. And you bought it, every share of it, until the magic ran out. That's the thing about lies, they're only expensive when the truth shows up. 2 decades later, people still call Enron the corporate scandal that changed everything. But look around. Executive bonuses are bigger than ever. Accounting tricks are more sophisticated. And CEOs still quote Skilling's favorite line, "The market is always right." The difference now is we've learned to hide the bodies better. Energy trading didn't die, it evolved into carbon credits, crypto tokens, and financial derivatives no one understands. Same game, new buzzwords. And the funniest part? Most of the people who worked at Enron found new jobs in finance, consulting, venture capital, because in our world, failure is just networking with a headline. Every few years, a new Enron is born. Different logo, same DNA. We call it progress. You call it a crisis. Someone sells a miracle, someone believes it, the bubble bursts, and the taxpayers pick up the tab. It's the most profitable loop in history, and yet, each time it happens, you're surprised. You write, think pieces, make documentaries, pass laws, but nothing changes, because you still believe in the system that sells the lies. Enron's real product wasn't energy, it was confidence. They manufactured belief so efficiently that truth became optional. And once you can monetize belief, you don't need gas lines, you just need headlines. They lied their way to billions because the market rewards certainty, not honesty. Investors don't buy facts. They buy stories with numbers attached. That's the secret Wall Street will never admit. Every balance sheet is just fiction until it's audited, and by then it's too late. So, raise a glass to Enron, the pioneers of modern fraud. They prove that lying is an asset, so long as you can afford the lawyers. Their buildings may be gone, their executives gray and forgotten, but their spirit lives on in every earnings call, every IPO, every chart that only goes up. Enron wasn't a failure of capitalism. It was a demonstration of how well it works for the people who write the rules. The moral? In business, truth is expensive and lies are always on sale. Enron just had the best Black Friday ever. Cheers.